All right. We're going to talk today about what is Google TV and also the new Chromecast device, which we'll show you in a second. This was announced, I think it was Tuesday at the big Google event this week. I wanted just before we go over this, I wanted to review some concepts on terminology. And I wanted just to refresh everybody's memory on what a smart TV is. You probably all know this, but a smart TV is a TV that's connected to the internet. In other words, you can actually interact with the internet through your TV. And this is a smart TV. I wanted to just give an analogy that I often use in this, and I'm going to talk about two people. One of them went to university, did one semester, and dropped out. The second individual went to university and stayed 6 years and got their master's degree. Obviously, the person that got their master's degree is smarter than the person who dropped out after one session. So I want you to hold that thought now. And this is one of my 4 TCL TVs in my house, and we'll talk a little bit about TCL TVs in a moment. But this is the one that I have in my kitchen. I love TCL TVs, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this slide here are all the connecting devices that we're going to talk about today, but specifically Chromecast. I want you to come up and look in the top left-hand corner here, and you'll see that that we have a picture of a TV, a smart TV, and this is connected directly to the internet, not with any device, not with an Amazon Fire Stick, not with a Roku. It's when you go to Costco and you buy your TV, they say it's a smart TV, you bring it home, you connect it to the internet, and you watch Netflix on it, and so on and so forth. And that is one way your smart TV works. But that's sort of akin to the fellow that went to university and took one semester. Your TV is sort of smart, but not really very smart. If you want your TV to be very smart, like the fellow that had the master's, then we're going to use one of these other devices that's in the circle here. And so you can take any TV that is a smart TV and you can make it really smart by using any of these devices. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, there are a number of devices on the market. Our club, Judy and I, spent a lot of time in the last 2 years. We gave away a lot of Amazon Fire Sticks and Roku boxes and talked an awful lot about streaming services. And so the first one here is the Amazon. You can either have the Fire TV or the Fire Stick. And this is a device that you connect to your TV, and it connects your TV to the internet. So you can actually take a dumb TV, one that is not connected to the internet, and you can actually make it a smart TV with this device. Or you could plug this into your existing smart TV and make it a super smart TV, right? So this is the Amazon, and Amazon has been around. They're excellent. These products are excellent, and probably it's 50-50 between Amazon and Roku. So the second one that you're going to come along with here is Roku, and Roku makes this a box that again connects to your TV. They all work the same way. They plug into the HDMI port in your TV. They then connect wirelessly to your internet system, and then they to your Wi-Fi, and then they need power. So again, we have Roku is very popular. It is an excellent product, and I think it's probably about 50-50 between Amazon and Roku. Then we come down to Apple TV. Great system as well. We have one at our computer club. We use it to so the SIGs can connect to the televisions. Works great. Apple TV, same idea. It connects and makes your TV a smart TV. Now, if you come around to the bottom here on the left-hand side, you'll see my TCL that I talked about earlier has an embedded Roku device inside it. So it is a smart TV, but it's even super smart because it has one of these little Roku boxes embedded in the TV. And the nice thing I like about it is I don't have to have these separate Roku boxes around the house. And the other thing is my wife, all the remotes are the same. So I don't have to, they're all the same, exactly the same remote. So everything works exactly the same. So that's one of the reasons why I like the TCL, and this is embedded in there. Now you can also, the Amazon Fire Stick, they also have Amazon Fire TV, and this is also embedded in certain TVs as well. But what we're going to talk about today is I want to talk about Google's new Chromecast, and that's this device here. Now, Chromecast devices, again, do the same thing as all these other devices do, but this is a bit different. So what is the different this time? Before we move on and talk about that, many of you will wonder, which device should I purchase? And really all the devices work well. I'm not sure that I would choose one over another. I would recommend that you purchase the 4K or premium version of most of these, because a lot of these devices have cheaper versions that are like $29 or something like that. And these have they all have computer chips in them, and so you'll get a better picture and it'll work faster if you buy the 4K version. We'll talk about that in a minute. In your consideration on which one to use, I would consider a larger picture. And one of them might be security services that you have in your house. For example, if you had an Amazon Ring doorbell and you wanted to maybe watch when someone pushed the doorbell in your house and you wanted that to come on the screen in your TV, then I'd probably buy an Amazon Fire Stick and use the Amazon services, because it would link in with your doorbell. If you had a Nest doorbell, then probably a Chromecast, the Chrome, which we're going to talk about, would be a better option for you. So I think in choosing which device, they all do about the same thing, but look at the larger picture. All right, this is what makes Google Chromecast different. Well, in the past, the Chromecast did not have a remote. In other words, it operated off the app on your phone. So there was an app on your phone and it cast itself to your TV. So none of the TVs had any remotes. So it all worked off your cell phone. And that was quite a bit different than all the other ones that you had. All these other devices that you have here all have remotes. The Fire TV has a remote, Roku has a remote, Apple TV has a remote, TCL has a remote. But Google Chrome, the Chromecast, the Google Chromecast didn't. It worked from an app on your phone. That's all changed this week. They changed the whole Chromecast system, and now your Google Chromecast has a remote, and in fact works the same as all these other devices, exactly the same. So that's put the playing field, so they're all the same, right? So now let's talk about that. Now, when you connect these devices, you need some content, right? So we call those streaming services. So all these devices allow you to pull content into your TV over the internet, and that's what we call streaming services. Now, I wanted again to just define what these streaming services are. Many of you all know what YouTube is. I spend most of my life in YouTube. I've produced over 110 videos now that are on my YouTube channel. I spend my whole life there. 80% of the television I watch is all in YouTube. The problem with YouTube is that it's not easy to find what you want. It's if you want television services and you want all that, it's there, but it's just not that easy to find. And even after many years of working in YouTube, it's still sometimes surprising what's actually there. So it is hard sometimes to find what you want. The second thing is there's a thing called YouTube Premium. What is YouTube Premium? Well, YouTube Premium is simply YouTube has ads. So if you pay $10 a month, the ads go away, and that's called YouTube Premium, all right? So, and I have this because I hate ads. So most of my life is spent in YouTube, and I get all my television content and everything in there. However, we now have YouTube TV, And what is YouTube TV? Well, I think it was a poor terminology that they did when they called it YouTube TV, because it really isn't anything to do with YouTube. YouTube TV is a television service, and it's a streaming service, and it's exactly as you would have with your cable service. It has menus, everything's easy to find, it's got channels, it's got all the major networks on there, and it also has local programming. So, and it has sports, it has everything you have on cable, but it's all available as a streaming service. And this, of course, would play on all those devices that I showed you before. And that's called YouTube TV, okay? Now, this is also what Verizon is using for their fixed base 5G when they're giving out when they're installing the fixed base 5G and you're getting all your stuff over the air now. This is what they're using. They're putting out YouTube TV. This is a very popular service and probably will replace any sort of cable systems, I think, in the United States. It's widely used and very popular. So that's called YouTube TV. Now, the next part of this is the Netflix, is all the other streaming services. There's hundreds of them. And all these, you have to choose which one you want, and then it will play, you can play it on any of those devices that we talked about earlier. So what is Google TV? Interesting. Well, I told you Google TV is different now because we have a remote. So now we have the Chromecast device, but it works exactly the same as all the other devices, and you actually have a remote. I just about died laughing when I made this slide up. You know, you wonder about competition. I actually haven't looked at pricing for about a year now, and usually the 4K sort of devices were around 70 or 80 bucks, and the ones that weren't 4K were less. So these are the prices from Best Buy yesterday. So if you look at Amazon's Fire Stick, it's 4K Fire Stick, $49.99, exactly what Chromecast was. If you look at the Roku streaming stick, the 4K, $49.99. And if you look at the new Google Chromecast that they've just released, $49.99. They're all the same price. If you want Apple, of course, you got to pay more. So the Apple 4K is $179, but Apple people are used to paying more anyway. And here is my 55-inch TCL TV with the Series 6 with the Roku embedded in it, and that is $64.99. So this is, again, we have Google's Chromecast, we have Roku, we have Amazon Fire, and we also, the Roku and the TV, and we also have the Roku device. So those are all the ones we covered. And we need to move on, and Hewie, you are up.
Oh, your neighborhoods. First on the agenda is talking about crime mapping, helping you build a safer community. If you go to crimemapping.com, you'll get this screen, and you can put in an address or an agency, meaning a police agency, police department, sheriff's department, so on. It will give you some information, and you can display some options at what's happening in your area, such as arson, assault, burglary, and so on, as you see from the list there. And if you also, and it'll pinpoint them on a map, as well as if you want to know where sex offenders live, if you click that box, you'll be able to see if there's any close by to where you live. Here is a typical scene of a map with all of the things that happened in that area. Generally, you pinpoint it much narrowly, but I wanted you to see what it really can look like. So where does the data come from? The data is extracted from the existing record system at each participating law enforcement agency through an automated import process. The data that's displayed will always be the most current available. In other words, there are police agencies that participate in this process. How can I get my agency online? If your agency in your area is not online, you can sharing crime data with the community is a choice each department makes. If you believe your agency should join this nationwide effort, please contact the public information officer at your local law enforcement agency to let them know about crimemapping.com. Hearing from a member of the community that they will serve will have a greater impact than hearing from crime mapping. Now you can create personalized alerts. You can create multiple alerts that track crime and or sex offender movement in any area of interest. Simply define an area of interest, verify that the local law enforcement agency for that area is providing data to the crimemapping.com, and choose which types of crimes and or sex offenders you're interested in. You'll receive an email when new activity occurs. Here's my personalized alert. As you can see, it's an email that I received. This is one I received in the last couple of days, as a matter of fact. And you'll see that there were some assaults, and as you move down the page, there were some more assaults of theft, larceny, and then down at the bottom of vehicle, break-in and theft, larceny. And how I define my alert, I asked for all of those items, and I specified the area or my address, in other words, where I lived. And this one was published October 2nd, which was just a couple of days ago. Here it is again. Here's what it looks like. It's a very long document because there's a lot of things that happened in my neighborhood. It may not have as many in your neighborhood. It may have more. Now, when you click on one of the buttons that's on in the email, it'll take you to a map and it'll show you your specified area. So it's showing my location in the middle of a circle of about a radius of 2 miles. And you can go in and pinpoint any one of those, and it will give you more information about it. It doesn't give you the exact address, but it will tell you what block of a street that it occurred. Here's another area. This happens, no, this is a wider view of my area. Now, these are all of the police agencies in the U.S. that participate in this. I'm sorry, Canada, crime mapping at this point at least is only in the U.S., but we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But here's an area that some of you may be familiar with. It's near Prescott, Arizona. So not all areas are covered. So your area may not be. Some of you also may see let's see, there's Foothill Freeway, and there's I-10 and 57. So some of you may recognize this area. Now, there is another service that more of you might be interested in, but it's not quite as complete, I don't think, as crime mapping is, but it's called City Protect. And you can find an agency, register cameras, explore crime maps, view previously submitted reports. In addition to the options above, you can check your agency's City Protect page to find out what services are available in your community. Each City Protect agency may offer services like anonymous tipping, police reports, other online requests, public record requests, and City Protect is a registered trademark, believe it or not, of Motorola Solutions. So what is City Protect? It's part of the Command Central Community Solution, is the public site for bringing together community-focused functionality for better communication and partnership with law enforcement. So you need to find an agency. You'll notice on the map, if you looked where we were before, I'm in Manatee County. That's in the lower left of the map. And our local departments, where I am don't participate with the City Protect, but they do participate with the crime mapping that I showed previously. So this may be where your local agency may participate in this and not in the other, and it may not participate in either one. You can register your cameras with this service. Turn your camera into the latest crime fighting tool. Crime Reports camera registration helps citizens and law enforcement partner in preventing and solving crime using your security cameras. Simply register your home or residential camera and advertise that you're protected. It's free, safe, and secure. And here's how you would explore the crime map. This is a similar map of what we showed earlier. This is in Covina, California. And you'll see that there are some little dots there, and those are where things happen. You can go to the police agency page by clicking on the left under the agency. Additional services, in addition to the options above, you can check your agency's City Protect page to find out what services are available to your community. Each City Protect agency may offer services like anonymous tipping, police reports, other online requests, and public record requests. Here is a map of City Protect, and you'll notice it does cover some Canadian cities close to the border, and some a little bit away from the border. So let's take a look at a few just north of the border in some areas that some of you may at least be familiar with. Here's another map. And as we hone in this area, there's not much of reports, but certain police departments do participate. Here's another area. And still another area. And here is the larger view of this area with where a lot of activity took place. The Gilbert Police Department. So my daily report from City Protect. This happened to be in a different area. Because I don't have one in my area, I went ahead and subscribed to one in a different area. And this showed it had about 140 recent incidents. There were 6 assaults. There were 3 breaking and entering, 4 thefts of vehicles, 3 other thefts. As I moved down the page, there were disorderly qualities of life, disorderly and disturbances, and 911 or other. There were 27 proactive policing and 1 emergency. And if I click on view on the map, that's what it looked like. This was the area in which I subscribed to. And so this is what they sent me, and with my map of daily incidents, and you can see where all the dots are in that area. Again, as you zoom in, you can see the police departments. You can click and get more information. You can submit tips, and you can look to see where the various events took place. I also decided to add in Nextdoor to this report. If you're not familiar with Nextdoor, it's tapping into your neighborhood. And I belong to it here locally, but it is a national, actually it's an international service, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But you can tap into your neighborhood and join, and they do follow up and make sure you live in that area. They'll even send you a postcard with some kind of a password in which you'll then have to sign up online with that to prove that you received it, so that you are in fact at the address that you give them. So the information within that area stays with that area. You can get the most out of your neighborhood with Nextdoor. There's some essential things, relevant news and information from neighbors, from businesses, and public agencies in real time. In my area, the local police department, the local sheriff's department, both belong to The service, local, the only way to instantly connect with to the people, businesses, and happenings near your home. And it's a secure environment where all the neighbors are verified, and you can sign up through it. Typically, I get emails that will look something similar to this. This happens to be one that I did get, and they happen to mention some things about a homeless man asking for food, knocking on doors, some road work, and so on. So it's information dealing with your neighborhood. You can specify your news feed's preferences, and you can get different posts, local posts, weather, news, business photos, resources, and giving back. There are different kinds of notifications. You can always get the latest by visiting Nextdoor, but you can also choose to be notified when something new happens in your neighborhood. You can get email notifications, and you can turn off any notifications as well. You can get SMS, in other words, text alerts if you want, and you can add in nearby neighborhoods. Here is the neighborhood that I'm in. That's in the orange, and then there are 30 nearby neighborhoods that I can specify, yes, include them in my reports or not, and I can turn them on and off. So Nextdoor by the numbers, it's in 11 countries, 265,000 neighborhoods globally. 1 in 4 U.S. households are covered by Nextdoor. 50 million local businesses recommend recommendations from neighbors. Everyone is a neighbor. The neighborhood Nextdoor recognizes that thriving communities are more than just residents. They're also made up of local businesses, nonprofits, and public agencies that keep neighborhoods strong and connected. So it includes residents, where you can connect with people you wave or nod to in your neighborhood. Now you can know their names and chat online. Local businesses instantly reach your most valuable customers, your neighbors, and become a trusted member of the neighborhood. Nonprofits can engage with the people who need you the most and find support from donors nearby with features like Sell for Good. Public agencies share critical real-time information directly at the neighborhood level, and brands provide locally relevant products and services that improve the neighborhoods and the neighbors' daily lives. Here's some important links for you for the crime mapping, the City Protect, Nextdoor, and then the Canadian version of Nextdoor. One of the difficulties many people have when beginning to work with a Chromebook, or even those that are experienced with a Chromebook, don't always know or weren't taught or didn't discover how the file structure works and how to manage their files within a Chromebook. I am going to try to shed some light on that today. What we're going to do first is open up our Files program. So what we're going to do here is click here, and what we want is the Files. And so when I click on that, we now have our file manager that's built into a Chromebook. You'll notice a couple of things. On the left are all of the folders and drives and so on that are available to you on your Chromebook. On the right is whatever you're pointing to. You'll notice in between them, if you move your mouse between them, you'll see a double arrow. That double arrow allows you to make it larger or smaller. So if you're only seeing a small portion of your left-hand column, you might want to move it over so that you see everything that you want to see. So now we have recent audio, images, videos, and photos on our local machine, plus my files, which shows what's on my machine or on my Chromebook. Then it also shows me what's out on Google Drive. You'll notice there's a little arrow. We're going to go through some of these things, and we're going to move some files around so you can see how easy it is to do. And I'm also connected to my OneDrive, which is my Microsoft Cloud drive, so I can move files back and forth between Microsoft and between my Google, and have access so I can go to my PC and the files that I've been working on the Chromebook are available to me. I also have an SD slot in this particular Chromebook, and I have an SD card in there, and that's where I store, and you'll see there's an arrow there, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment as well. So I have some additional storage on an SD card within my Chromebook. And getting access to that and using that has gotten better with some of the later versions of the Chrome OS or operating system. So let's take a look at where our files are on our computer. So we're on my files right now, and this is showing what's on the drive that I have. In other words, in memory, on the storage section of my memory on my Chromebook. There's a folder called Downloads. We're going to take a look at that in just a minute. And there's also a playlist. And then there's some individual files that somehow got just in the general category. Most of the time when you either do a screen capture or that you download something, or you're going to say open up a PDF file, it downloads it first and then opens it. It's going to put it in that downloads folder by default. So let's take a look at the downloads folder that I have. I double click it, it opens it up. Or I could have, I'm going to come back here, I could come here to downloads and double click there, and it will open up on this side. Now, like most computers, whether it be a PC, a Mac, or any other device, and a lot of applications too, you have headings at the top, along the top here, date, modified, type, size, and name. You'll see an arrow here. That means it's alphabetical going up. If you click that one time, it makes it alphabetical going down. If you want to do it by size, you click there and you'll see it by size. The largest at the top, the smallest at the bottom, and you can reverse that as well. Same thing with type. It will put all those types of files together. You'll have an APK file, you'll have GIF files put together, JPEGs put together, and so on. And if you want to check it, okay, what's the last file that I did? Well, today at 11:06, I worked on this file, and 10:31 I worked on this file, so on. So I have it in order of that. But what I want to do it is, let's do it by name, and we're doing it up. We're doing it from the A's on down. So these are all of the files that are in my downloads. Now you have to remember, this downloads folder is local on your Chromebook. So if you power wash your Chromebook, these all disappear. This is the only thing that goes away, what's on your local drive. So periodically, you want to copy these over to your cloud storage, which is your Google Drive, usually, or you could copy them over to your OneDrive, or you could put them on the SD card. If you power wash, the SD card does not get wiped. So you need to back these up if you want to keep these. If you don't care, then you can just leave them in there until it starts filling up, and then you want to kind of make some room, depending upon how much storage you have. On my particular Chromebook, I have 128 gigabytes of storage, so I don't use it all, and I have room to keep quite a few of these smaller files. You'll see that they're not very big. A lot of them are screen captures and so on. But sometimes I download a video to watch, and when I do that, it's a large file, so I may delete it, or I may move it somewhere. So let's say we want to take all of these JPEG, which are screenshots, right here at the top, and we want to put them over on our Google Drive. How do we do that? Well, first we need to go take a look at our Google Drive. We'll come over here, and you'll see when I click the little arrow, it now shows me what's on the Google Drive. There's My Drive, Shared with Me, and Offline. Let's look at my drive. There's a little arrow there. When I click that, it shows me all of the folders that are on my Google Drive. Let's say we want to have one called screenshots, and there's not one there. There's one called old screenshots, because that's what I was practicing with, and I renamed it, but I won't tell you that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to My Drive. We'll click here. So now here on the right now is everything that's in my drive. Now we're going to come over here to the three dots, which is More. We'll click on it. Notice the top one says New Window. Now we want to go to a new folder. We're going to create a new folder by clicking here. And now we have a new folder down here. Let's call this Screenshots. I just click outside of the box, and we now have a folder called Screenshots on my drive, which is the Google Drive. Now let's come back over to Downloads. Now it's changed over here on the right, so we see what's in the Downloads folder. We'll go to the top. We're going to take this file, and we want to come down to this file. Now I could click each one of these, but you'll notice that it only highlights the one that I'm on. Now, if I hold the Control key down and then go to the next one, it now has checked 2 of them. If I come down to the next one, check 3 of them. But there's even an easier way. And this is true on a PC as well. And I don't know Macs, but I would imagine there's something similar. But if I click the first one, I'm going to move my mouse down to the last one, but I haven't clicked on anything. I hold the Shift key down and click there. It automatically will highlight from the beginning one to the end one and everything in between. So if you've got a long list of files you want to copy or move, you don't want to go to each one individually, you can do a complete list by holding the Shift key down. So we now have 5 files that we want to get over to our Google Drive so we don't lose them. We'll want to store them out on Google Drive, out on the cloud. So we're going to come down over on this side, and notice as I move it, nothing is changing on the right. We're not clicking on the left, we're just scrolling until we find the Screenshots folder, which is down here. I'm not going to click it. I'm just going to put it where it's close enough that when I drag from this side to this side, when I drag it over, I'm not going to lose it, and I'm not going to have to go searching for it. So I am going to click and hold my click. Notice it as I'm holding the click on the mouse, and if I was had my finger on it, I wouldn't take my finger off if I was going to do it on the touch screen. And I'm just going to bring it over, and I'm going to put it over here where it says Screenshots and drop it and let go. When I do it, it opens up Screenshots, and there they all are in the Screenshots folder. Now, what happened back up on our Downloads folder? They're still there. Because it's a different drive, it doesn't move them. By default, it copies them. Now, let's say we want to take one of these, and let's see, we've got some play files here. And just to practice, let's take one of these pictures, and we'll see that it's this one. And we're going to take it, and we're going to bring it down to Pictures and drop it. It's there. If we come back up to Downloads, it's still there. So it doesn't move them, it only copies them. And so what you're going to want to do then is if you either right mouse click or you can just highlight it, is we would then delete it from here. Are you sure you want to delete it? You click delete and it would be gone. So you can clear off the Downloads folder one by one, or again, you could click the first one, hold the Shift key down, click this one, they're all highlighted, and then we can come up and then go here, and then, so you could actually start at the first one, go all the way down to the bottom, hold the Shift key down, click it, and then everything in your Downloads folder, and then tell it delete it, and they'll all be gone. But you don't want to do that until you've saved them out or decided which ones you want to save, which ones you want to delete. Now, let's take a look at some of these others. Let's look at documents. There are some documents there. Now, what determines how they get in these, I have not really paid much attention to. And if I look at pictures, remember we just moved one there, and then under that I even have a folder called Hangouts. I'm not going to go there. I'm not sure what's in there. But you can look at different play files. Then again, at the top, you've got recent, so you can see all of your recent files here, but they may be in different places. They don't necessarily mean that they're where you want them to be, or where, if you want to move them. Now, can you move them? Well, let's take a look and see if we can. We'll take this one and we'll say, okay, we want to put it in pictures. So we're going to take, actually not, when I say move, I mean copy them. We're going to copy it down here to pictures. And it's the one ending in 205. So if we look at pictures, there's the 205. We come up to recent, and it's still there. So even if it's in recent, you aren't quite sure where it is, you can put it where you want it to be. And then you have images, and it will find all of the images that you've taken. It'll show you all the videos that are on your local machine, and it'll show you all the photos that are on your machine, on your local machine. I hope I've shown you where you can find your files, whether they're on your local machine, your local computer, or whether they're out on the cloud, or again, as I mentioned earlier, I have an SD card. I can come down and look to see what's on my SD card, and I have some things here, and so if I go to here, I will see some information. So I can create folders and store some things out on my SD card. I could take that SD card out of my Chromebook, put it in my SD reader on my PC, and read the same files. Can't run any programs from the SD card, but you can store data there. So again, most of what you do will end up in your downloads folder on your Chromebook, and that's a temporary hold until you wipe your machine. If you do a power wash, anything that's in the downloads folder or in the play files will be erased. So you want to copy them over to your Google Drive if you want to keep them.